was not going to make it, and neither is Mr. Price. And we are checking to see if Mr. Buscaino will be attending committee. So as a result, we shall begin as a subcommittee, and we'll see if we can establish a quorum today. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and take item 1.
Item 1 is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. Mario Chavez to the Affordable Housing Commission for the term ending June 30th, 2018.
Very good. Mr. Chavez, welcome. Please step on up to the dais here. Very good. Tell us a little bit about your vision for this appointment.
Well, number one, I'm honored to, be appointed. I was born and raised in Boyle Heights, CD 14. And I still currently live in that community, and to me, it's an honor to serve my community. Obviously, Boyle Heights, and not only Boyle Heights, but CD 14, Eagle Rock, parts of Highland Park are under a lot of development. And my vision for our communities is for all people, regardless of income, to have access to quality, affordable housing. So for me, this is a great honor.
Very good. Thank you for your willingness to serve. What we'll do is, if we are able to establish a quorum, we'll go ahead and take a vote. If we're not, rest assured that we'll be able to move a communication to the full council and make certain that you're ideally affirmatively endorsed. Are there any speaker cards, CLA, on item 1?
Question for the clerk.
All right. We're going to go ahead and give the clerk a second there. Go ahead and join the audience, and we'll go ahead and take up item number 2.
Item number 2 is a communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Ms. Elsie Buick to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority Commission for the term ending June 30th, 2018.
I think it's Elise. Please come on up. And very good. Same thing for you, Ms. Buick. Let us know what your vision is for your appointment.
Well, great. Thank you for having me this afternoon. I've been on the LAHSA Commission, and I think, as you know, I run the United Way. The United Way is very committed to tackling poverty in Los Angeles, and one of our big pillars is to really look at what we can do to end homelessness in Los Angeles County. And so it's been my great honor to represent the city on the LAHSA Commission, and I really think it is possible for us to look at how we can get people off the streets and into housing.
Very good. Thank you, as well as Mr. Chavez, for your service and your willingness to serve on this committee. The same thing goes. If we're able to establish a quorum, we'll go ahead and give you a favorable recommendation. If not, we'll make a communication, and I'll make it a point to make sure that we get you through the full city council. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, are there any cards on items number 1 or 2?
We have cards on item number 2.
Very good. I'll go ahead and take item number 2 now. Very good. Mike Arnold on item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Mike Arnold, the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. I'm here in support of the reappointment of Commissioner Buick. She has brought her leadership talent and her strong commitment to ending homelessness to the LAHSA Commission. She has also recently served as immediate past chairman of the commission and serves as an incredible bridge between the greater philanthropic community and the business community on our very hard job of ending homelessness within Los Angeles. So I want to publicly thank the Commissioner for her past service and strongly recommend her approval for reappointment.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Arnold, for your public card there. Very good. We'll go ahead and to item number 3, please.
Item number 3 is a Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department report and resolution and CAO report relative to authorization to issue up to $13 million in tax-exempt revenue bonds for the Silver Lake Village apartment project.
Very good. Before we proceed with your presentation, I just wanted to get a little clarification. I believe that we are not going to be able to establish a quorum. Would it be okay to be able to move these files to the full City Council?
Yeah. It would be a communication from the chair.
Very good. Will it affect the vote threshold?
No, I think it would be a communication from the chair, and then the council could take up the item in council.
Very good. So I get to decide. How exciting. Very good. With your presentation, please, on item number 3.
Thank you. Madeline Rackley with the CAO. In addition to what Mr. McCarter has stated in his introduction, the Silver Lake Village Apartments project is an acquisition and rehabilitation of an affordable housing apartment in Council District 4, and when completed, it will provide 88 affordable units and for families and singles, in addition to one manager unit. For the bond financing, the city acts as a conduit issuer. The bonds will not be a general obligation of the city because the borrower will be solely responsible for paying back the debt. And the bonds are based on the credit of the conduit borrower. The $13 million in bonds will be placed with Citibank. The city does have a business relationship with Citibank. However, since the city acts only as a conduit issuer in this particular transaction and has no financial interest in the transaction, the selection of Citibank as the bond owner does not constitute city business, and there is no impact to the general fund. And there's a representative here from the Housing Department to answer any questions you may have about the project.
Very good. Would you like to make a presentation on the project?
I'm Tim Elliott, Finance Manager at HCID. I really don't have too much to add. This is just it's a rehabilitation of an existing affordable housing project with Section 8 vouchers. The financing structure is such that they'll get a AAA plus rating, AA plus rating. This is with Volunteers of America, who's been the long-term owner of the project.
Very good. Hearing and seeing no questions from the public on that item, the recommendation will be that noted by the CAO report dated September 9th, and we'll move that file to the full City Council.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Very good. Item number, yes, sir.
4?
Yes, item number 4.
Item number 4 is a HCIDLA report and a CAO report relative authorization to issue $7,479,629 in tax-exempt multifamily bonds for the Broadway Villas project.
Trina Unziker, Office of the CAO. We also did a report on this item, and we are also supporting housing's recommendations. Similarly, this is a situation where the city is providing conduit financing, and so we're in support of housing's recommendations.
Right. This is a CRA legacy project, and it's a 49-unit senior building, and there's space for a grocery store, and it's in CD8. This project has been delayed quite some time because CRA was unable to act, and as such, since 2010, costs have gone up, and so we are recommending, in addition to issuing the bonds, that we execute the long-term lease with the developer and increase the LAHD HCID loan amount by $500,000 to cover the cost increases that have taken place over time.
Very good. I've got a question. Item recommendation 2C to execute the lease agreement for the proposed limited partnership for the amount of $1. Is that something that's common in this type of deal?
Right. That would have been CRA's contribution.
I see. Okay. That's why that makes it the legacy project. Very good. There are no cards on the item, so that will also have a favorable recommendation according to the report dated September 10th from the CAO's office, and we'll make that recommendation to the full City Council.
And Mr. Chair, the CLA's office also recommends that you receive and file the revised resolution dated the March 8th, 2012, and the Housing Department report dated February 15th, 2012.
Very good. That will be so ordered. Thank you very much. Item number 5.
Item number 5 is a HCIDLA report and CAO report relative to acceptance of $1.5 million in a Cal Home grant.
Trina Unziker, Office of the CAO. We are supporting the department's recommendations to accept the Cal Home grant. This is the 8th or 9th version of the grant, the 9th version of the grant that has come forward, and this will enable HCID to provide some assistance to folks who, according to the income limits that are stated in the CAO report and also the HCID transmittal, will allow some housing opportunities for folks who are low-income first-time home buyers.
Good afternoon. Tim Donis, HCIDLA. This is a report back with regards to an application or a grant application that the department submitted earlier in this year, and we received a $1.5 million grant from the state of California. It's for to provide down payment assistance for low-income first-time home buyers in the city of LA.
So you mentioned report back, but the report that I've got from the CEO's office says it's request for approval. So it's also moving the approval for the same funds?
For us to be able to accept the funds.
Okay.
In our original transmittal to apply for the funds, we have got authorization to execute the grant agreement. This is just so we could accept the funds and also instruct the controller's office to set up a new account.
Very good. Okay. I understand now. There are also no cards on this item, so it will have a favorable recommendation according to the September 9th, 2013 CAO request. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 6.
Items number 6 and 7 are in regards to the foreclosure registry. The CLA and CAO are working currently on a joint report that we would like to bring back to the committee in a few weeks is our goal. So we would recommend that you continue those items in the committee.
Very good. There are speaker cards on both of those, well, on item number 6 at least. We'll continue the file from the members of the audience. We're not going to actually take an action on item number 6, but since there are members of the public wishing to speak on this item, I'll go ahead and entertain your public comments. So we'll begin with, it looks like it's Reba Gonzalez for item number 6. All right. I'm sorry, Ruben. You dropped the E, and this looks like an I. Ruben Gonzalez from the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. My apologies.
I'll improve my writing, Mr. Chair.
Please do so, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ruben Gonzalez. I'm here representing the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. My colleagues will focus on some other issues, but I wanted to specifically focus on one or two issues related to this report. One is the banks have been pretty open to the idea of being responsible for the outside of properties that have been foreclosed on to make sure that they're not blights to the community and to handle that in a reasonable way, fence them, that kind of thing. The question now that's being considered is whether or not the city can require that the inside of the property be their responsibility as well. And there's two levels here. The first question is why? And I think that's something that needs to be discussed. But second is even if you get past the why, there's a practical problem with this because you can never really say when the property's vacant. Sometimes it is the owners are still in there even if they've stopped paying, and the banks don't want to be in the business of having the responsibility where it would literally require them to remove people if they're going to be responsible for the conditions within the house. So you can't let policy go before the practical. So the city needs to figure out how in a practical and logical way someone could actually be responsible for them given the inability to define what vacancy is and when it actually happens.
Very good. Thank you for your comments. And again, my apologies. I will pay better attention next time. Beverly Roberts.
How are you today?
I'm well. How are you, ma'am?
Well, pretty good.
All right.
As I said, I'm Beverly Roberts. I'm from South LA, and I'm with ACE, as you can see. It's been 3 years, and not one fine. We can't let a lawsuit stop us. And even if we do have a lawsuit, can we fight that? You're not answering, okay. Oakland didn't let it stop them. They have implemented their inspection price already, and it's working for them. How come we can't do that? You're not going to ask me.
This is public comment, ma'am. So what happens is it's your opportunity to speak to the committee, and it's our job to listen at this point.
Well, okay, will there be an answer sometime or other?
I would recommend that you approach each of the council offices if you want to have a dialogue to try to impact the proposed legislation. But in public comment, what we do is we afford members of the audience the ability to testify on a particular item. And right now, the item before us is going to be reheard at a later date, but I'm allowing folks to be able to talk a little bit on item number 6.
Okay, but it's been 3 years. Why do we have to keep coming here when it's benefiting all of us if this is done? You can't answer that. Okay, we need this done now is what I'm trying to say.
Very good. Thank you for your testimony. Maria Gomez.
Sí, buenas tardes.
Buenas
Mi nombre
tardes,
es María
señora.
Gómez, soy miembro de ACE y yo vivo en el Distrito 9.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Gomez. I'm a member of ACE. I live in District 9.
Pues ya tenemos 3 años luchando por esta ordenanza de que los bancos tienen que pagar lo que deben por las casas abandonadas.
We've been working on 3 years to pass this ordinance where banks should have to compensate the city for the costs associated with the foreclosed properties that are vacant.
Y creo que la ciudad debe tener conciencia de que estos bancos que son abusivos, tenemos muchas viviendas abandonadas en nuestras comunidades, están destruyendo nuestras comunidades por la razón de que vienen vagos, vienen a destruir estas comunidades, vienen a hacer robos.
I think that the city should be conscious that these bank-owned properties are bringing down our communities. They are oftentimes invaded by people who aren't supposed to be there and cause problems.
Ventas de drogas y sobre todo que se mantienen demasiado sucias y están destruyendo nuestras comunidades, sobre todo bajando el costo de las propiedades en nuestra comunidad. Entonces eso no es justo. Creo que la ciudad debe tomar conciencia y debe presionar a estos bancos, hacerlos responsables, que sean responsables de pagar esa cantidad de dinero por cada día, por cada casa abandonada.
I think that the city should make these banks responsible because these properties are bringing down the value of our properties that live in the neighborhood, and the city should hold them accountable for every day that there's a violation, that they're not maintaining the property.
Y creo que debe tomar acción la ciudad porque creo que estos bancos tienen que hacerse responsables porque ya es demasiado tiempo y entre más está pasando el tiempo tenemos más casas abandonadas en nuestras comunidades y esto ya no debe estar pasando.
And I think the city should take action because the longer we wait before implementing this ordinance, the more properties are bringing down our neighborhoods.
Gracias.
A usted, gracias. Ahora, now it's Julia Botello. No se preocupe, señora, tiene bastante tiempo.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Mi nombre es Julia Botello.
Good afternoon. My name is Julio Botello. I'm a member of ACE.
Miembro de ACE.
Nomás dale chance a él para que pueda traducir para los miembros del público, ¿eh?
Good afternoon. My name is Julio Botello. I'm a member of ACE.
Yo vivo por la 23
I live on 23rd Street
y la Hooper.
and Hooper.
Tengo ya 40 y tantos años allí.
I've lived there for over 40 years.
Y ahora enfrente de donde yo vivo, de mi casa, que es su casa, allí está, no sé si estará sola la casa, sola o abandonada.
In front of my house, which is also your house, there is a vacant house that I think has been vacant for some time.
Pero está llena de homeless. Aparte de ellos, venden droga. Yo no me puedo sentar en el porche porque huele zorrillo. Muy feo que huele de la droga.
The house is full of folks that don't seem to live there, and there's drug use, and I can't sit out on my front porch because it smells like a skunk.
Y no tienen agua, no tienen luz y hacen del baño atrás en el callejón.
The house has no utilities connected like water or lights, and people use the bathroom in the back alley.
Entonces, a la pasada de los muchachitos que salen de la escuela, llegan de paso allí. Entonces, ¿qué va a hacer con el futuro de Estados Unidos? Todos los muchachitos, que ese va a ser el futuro, muchachitos viciosos.
So, that little kids walking by this house on a regular basis come from school, and I think what is going to happen to the future of our country if this is what our kids have to go by, when they're going to school.
Y como hay mucha droga, todo aquello huele muy feo. Yo creo que nosotros los pobres también merecemos vivir bien en lo limpio. Yo les pido a ustedes que son los que nos ayudan, que por favor hagan algo.
And
Porque-
because there's a lot of drugs and it smells bad, and I'm really asking you guys that have the ability to do something about this to help.
Porque puede venir una epidemia, porque está ese barrio hay muchos niños y todo aquello huele muy feo.
And there could be an epidemic of, that this spreads, drug use, and it gives a bad aspect to the neighborhood. And also she said that I think as poor people, we have the right to live in a decent neighborhood.
Pues que Dios los bendiga y les dé mucha paciencia para lidiarnos todos los que nos quejamos y nos hagan el favor de ayudarnos.
So God bless you, and please help us. Thank you.
Bueno, gracias.
A usted.
Ahora,
Dios los bendiga y tenga buen día.
Peter Coons.
That's me.
¿Me paro? ¿Me voy?
Peter Coons, Community Group ACE, and I was just going to testify that, there's been some threats from banks to sue, and unfortunately it looks like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are a big part of the problem, they own a lot of properties, are threatening various cities around the country. We would just like to make the point that the city of Oakland has actually been able to implement their ordinance, and what they're planning on doing is if there's a lawsuit in another city, they're simply going to modify the ordinance in order to comply with the result of whatever lawsuit. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The city of Oakland has done it. With regard to what the gentleman from the chamber said, I think it's pretty ridiculous that the city shouldn't be able to hold the owner of a property for the conditions of both, accountable for the conditions of both outside and inside that property. And again, the city of Oakland has figured out a way to deal with the notice of default properties legally, because when the homeowner walks away from the property, the bank essentially is the owner, and it's been established that they should be able to be held accountable. So, thank you.
Angelina Jimenez.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas
Good afternoon.
tardes.
Mi nombre es Angelina Jiménez,
My
miembro
name
de ACE.
Angelina Jimenez, I'm a member of ACE.
Tengo 26 años viviendo en mi casa en el West Los Ángeles,
I have 26 years living in my house in West LA,
cerca de la USC.
well, near USC, so west of USC.
Okay. Mi tema es que yo tengo a dos casas después de la mía. Hay una casa que el banco ahora es de Fannie Mae.
2 houses away from me is a house that's owned now by Fannie Mae.
No está limpiando la casa, entonces yo voy de vez en cuando y limpio toda la basura que queda ahí.
Fannie Mae isn't cleaning up the house, so I go and clean up the trash of the house every few days.
Los vecinos me dicen que yo estoy loca porque ando limpiando, pero le digo, es casa de nosotros a la vez y es nuestra comunidad.
My neighbors say I'm crazy to do that, but I say, look, this is part of the neighborhood and it's our responsibility.
Y yo la quiero limpia, aunque parece que a los bancos no.
I want the house clean, but apparently the banks don't care.
Y necesito ya, por favor, les suplico, que ya multen a los bancos, por favor, por tener las casas abandonadas y sucias.
So I'm begging, please start fining the banks when they don't maintain their houses.
Muchas gracias.
A usted, gracias. Doug Arsenault, our last speaker on this item. Oh, did you fill out a card?
Good afternoon, council member.
Oh, here it is. I've got it here.
I'm Doug Arsenault of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, representing more than 380 businesses throughout the San Fernando Valley and the city. Our members include several of the high-profile banks who predominantly act as servicers of these loans, not the direct lender such as Freddie or Fannie Mae, and have very limited legal rights to manage the condition of the interior of these homes. Our banking members are fully committed to compliance with the Proactive Registry Program to the extent of their legal ability. They have offered to assist the city in development of the registry interface to ensure that the information requested by the city can be provided without violating homeowner privacy. They're also willing to pay the $274 fee determined by the city for initial inspections. However, the city must keep in mind that this is not a sustainable revenue source to fund staff positions. As the economy steadily recovers, foreclosure rates, thankfully, will continue to decline. Finally, touching on the point that my colleague from the chamber brought up, if the city intends to require internal inspections, it must be responsible for determining whether a property is legally occupied or vacant. Neither lenders nor the servicers have the right to enter homes that are still undergoing the foreclosure process, one which on average occurs over 18 months and can last more than 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Arsenault.
Thank you.
Very good. Veronica Perez.
Good afternoon,
Good
Councilman. Veronica Perez, and I'm here representing the Central City Association today. The CCA represents several banking institutions, and we are we all have we have a common goal, which is to eliminate blight, keep families in their homes, and improve our communities. And so we do very much appreciate the opportunity for our members to be a part of this dialogue so we can move forward together. We do believe that a successful program moving forward has to be implementable from a practical perspective. So, as we move forward, we encourage the city to really think about whether certain policies can be implemented. For instance, the monitoring of the interior of a building. If that's implemented, we have to keep in mind that it is very difficult to determine when a property becomes vacant. So we do want to work with you, but let's put in place something that's practical. Thank you very
good.
much.
Thank you. James Johnson will be the last speaker on this item.
Good afternoon, James Johnson representing SEIU Local 721. First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't offer my condolences to Council Member and Chair Cedillo on the loss of his father. I knew his father very well. He was a great man. My condolences to him and his family. We're not sure what the devil is going on. 3 years, folks have been talking about, they're prepared to work with folks and do this, but we've been at this for 3 years. Folks are coming to this mic like the foreclosure registry ordinance conversation has been going on for a couple of days. It's been going on for 3, going on pretty much close to 4 years. I've come to the conclusion, Local 721 has come to the conclusion that there clearly are forces that are absolutely determined to wait this thing out. Basically what has happened is that there are forces that have waited out the crisis, and now we stand here with people still waiting to have issues dealt with these foreclosed homes. One way or another, this ordinance is going to get passed because it's still necessary, and the fundamental issue is that at the end of the day, we are about the business of making communities better. We want to work with anybody that's prepared to do that. But we frankly begin to have some real questions about whether folks are prepared to work with us.
Thank you.
And that's unfortunate.
So item 7 is also going to be continued, and so that brings us to the close of this meeting. We'll go ahead to general public comment, beginning with Robert Bolster. Come on up, Mr. Bolster.
Thank you, Councilman Fuentes and others. I'm Rob Bolster. I represent myself. I own 2 buildings in the San Fernando Valley. I have a series of questions, and I'll go through them quickly. I'm aware of the time constraints. First is, has the committee defined a purpose? That is to say, is the purpose of the committee or the housing department, 1, to raise funds through fines, or 2, to improve housing? That's a question in my mind. 2, does the department advocate going to a 1-year versus 3-year inspection cycle on rent-controlled housing in the city? Is the third question is a change to the allowable rent increases, which have been 3 years to date, is that in the works? Fourth, has there been any consideration given to aligning rent increases with DWP increases? Those are my questions.
Great, thank you. Simeon Perkoff, or Peroff?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am currently involved in what should be a simple 6 to 8 week non-payment of rent unlawful detainer eviction. Based on a vengeful tenant's complaint, the housing department has cited me without inspection for items the tenant may have caused damage to. This tenant understands the current system where through revenge and the need to make me spend more money, he may make complaint after complaint to the city and break what I fix and be totally unaccountable. My tenant has obtained the services of an internet lawyer who, through the lawyer's guidance, has extended the eviction process by 6 months by filing 6 phony third-party ghost tenant complaints. This means my tenant is claiming 6 non-existent people live in the apartment without my knowledge. My request is that you change the law to cite tenants who cause the damage and not give a citation until a physical inspection has been made. Very specific descriptions should be given to the landlord, not the usual ambiguous general categories which are used by the housing department. Many hardworking and good landlords are being affected financially and could lose their property because of the unscrupulous acts of the tenant.
Thank you very much. That you've exceeded your time, but thank you. I'd recommend that you contact your council office to see if they can help you with this proposed legislation. Bill Huey.
Hi, my name is Bill Huey. I'm the president of the Fair Housing Coalition. We're a civil rights organization that believes equality under the law for landlords and renters. Last meeting, Dina Eberly came here, and she's the outreach contractor hired by the LHD to help landlords in REAP, and she said that she believes in SCEP, and she doesn't have a problem with REAP. We believe that's the wrong message. I don't know one landlord in the city of LA that agrees with her. She's not speaking for us. She's not speaking accurately, and if that's what she's telling the LHD, it's the wrong message. Also, on that contractor, I have a gentleman here, he would like to apply, but that contract, the way it's done now, the LHD gives it out. So Dina can't even fight for a landlord because they can cancel the contract in revenge. I think this committee should give out the outreach contractor to help landlords in REAP, and that way the LHD can't make revenge because a lot of those inspectors don't know what they're doing. They were brought in from other city departments to avoid layoff, and they know nothing about housing, and the landlords are paying the price. This is a very serious matter. And this is Mr. Steve Berman.
Very good. Thank you. We'll take one more. Dina, come on up. I can't read your last name. Ebony?
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to speak, but I'm not going to allow.
Great. If you could, for the record, state your name, please.
My name is Dina Eberly. I'm the managing director of the Eberly Company, and I am the landlord outreach contractor for the REAP program for HCIDLA. And frankly, I wanted to go on record and state why I think that SCEP is helpful. I think that SCEP is great because if you have nothing to hide and you take care of your building, the more eyes and ears on it, the better. Simply put. You know, I run a property management company. I have regional supervisors. I have on-site managers. Excuse me, I'm sick today. And it's always nice to have another set of eyes and ears at the building. There are ways to take care of your building. There are ways to ensure that you have done your due diligence and that you have made every effort to make repairs. And if tenants are causing damage, there are remedies for that. But blaming HCIDLA is not it. And, I mean, Mr. Hui has now set a personal vendetta in attacking my contract, and so I feel the need to defend myself. So.
Very good. Thank you very much. Hearing and seeing no additional comments from the audience and no additional items in front of us, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.